Friday, end of a long work week. You know what I'm saying? How y'all doing tonight? I'm Jay Tatter, about to introduce the All-Star cast. I'm gonna start with the lady Natasha. How you doing?
Hey, how are ya? Up on here
I'm
on Who They Want
I'm great. How
Entertainment.
you? How you?
I'm fine. It's Friday, honey.
Mi- Mistress Dazzy, what's good with you?
Y'all
She here. She
always
here. She like,
love it. I'm here. Can y'all hear me? I
yeah,
swear
we
every
here.
time I got
We
something
hear
to
you.
say to y'all, listeners, they be trying to tune me down. But I'm doing good. It's Friday. You know.
That's
You sound like
right.
you still working. You need to get in the Friday spirit. Put the work down. Turn up.
I'm saying I'm ready to turn up. I'm ready to relax, put my feet up, have a drink, something.
Hey.
Miss Kimberly, you heard you before the show. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you got your Friday right. How you doing?
Greetings, everyone. All is well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Then got the boss man himself. What's up? Big dog, what's
What
good, G? How your
what's good
Friday?
in the neighborhood?
Oh, shit, gravy over here. How your neighborhood doing?
It's great. Can't complain.
Freestyle Friday. We got a few topics we're gonna bring to y'all. Some goodness, some craziness, you know. Who gonna open the floor? What the topic is? What we got?
Well, I'm gonna pass the torch to Kimberly since she suggested this topic, and it's his worst dating experience.
Oh,
Who wanna take the question? I could take the question, but
I
I don't
got
wanna.
that. I think I got everybody beat with that.
I definitely listen. I brought it up to Steady Rock earlier today when he was saying Freestyle Friday, and I was like, man, I have a funny worst date story, but I can hold on to it. Who, if somebody else would like to open up with it?
Honey, let me tell you.
That
Oh,
is.
man. I'll go first if
Before
you don't
you
want me
start,
to.
Natasha, all I'm gonna say is this: powder blue suit. That's it. I'm gonna hold on to
Look,
that.
I
Go
think
ahead.
mine's is similar to yours situation because I already, powder blue suit. Well, I don't know. I don't know, but I think, okay, my hint is powder blue coffin. How about that? All right, so you should see, so you know which way mine is going. Powder blue coffin.
What the what?
Yeah,
Somebody gotta
honey.
explain. Let me
Yeah,
hear
Let
some
the
honey.
show
stories.
You
begin.
you got to you got to take the floor, Natasha. You got to take the floor on that. Go, please
Oh
share,
Lord.
elaborate.
Yes. This was like many moons ago. I had to go through the process of planning the funeral, unfortunately. So anywho, met this nice guy, he's a funeral home director, right? And so after the funeral, he did the funeral. Months later, we actually started, seeing each other. You know, nice guy, very handsome, very intelligent, tall, distinguished, and he was cool, he was kicking it and everything. So one night he came over my house. This is when we got real close and stuff and comfortable around each other. He came over my house and he was laying in the bed. We was watching TV. He said, "Dag, I can't get comfortable here." Now he drove one of them big Yukons, right? You know what a Yukon is, right?
I thought you was about to say hearse, but yeah.
No, it was a Yukon. He had this big Yukon. So he said, "I can't get comfortable here." I was like, "Well, why not?" I was like, "Well, get up and go home." I kind of got offended because they know it's nothing like that. And I said, "Well, what's going on?" He goes, "I got Mrs. Gomez outside."
What? What? What?
So I'm like, "Well, who the fuck is Mrs. Gomez? Like, what this
So he
bitch doing
brought his work to
outside?"
your house.
Right? Yo, yes. And he's like, "No, I had to stop and make a stop to pick her body up. And I just came here first." And that's it. I just couldn't no more. I said, "You know what? No. This ain't going to work. This ain't going to work at all." Yes. I mean, it wasn't a date we was on, but look, we was together that night, and he pulled up with Mrs. Gomez and that Yukon. I guess he had a freezer back there storing her. And he thought to him, it was fine because that was his profession. I just couldn't get used to it. You know, because he was definitely a person who I never asked how his day was at work. I could never do that. You know, he's a funeral home director, so yeah.
Honestly, Mrs. Gomez wouldn't have been upset. I mean, she was already,
That's kind
she
of
didn't know.
romantic, man. He dropped
What's
everything.
romantic?
Literally. He dropped everything literally. He pulled up the body in the back like anything for you.
Are you serious?
Even if that means I gotta cut the funeral short, we'll put it in the ground tomorrow.
Nah, I just couldn't. Yeah, right. No, I just couldn't no more. And from that point on, because I still was dealing with him, like, you know, a while after that. And every time he would rub me and massage me and try to caress me, I'm like, well, you about to start cracking my joints. It's like everything was just going through my head because he was a funeral home director. So I just couldn't get that out of my head. And, you know, he was just rolling around with all this stuff. And then we would go out. I'd be hearing things thumping around in the back of that truck. I'm thinking, what is it? You know, who is it? I just couldn't do it no more. You know, he's a nice guy, but it just wasn't going to work. I just couldn't. Let me tell you something. That's a tough position to be in, dating somebody in that field. I'm so serious because you have to be open to anything. Yeah, I just couldn't.
Especially caskets.
Especially caskets. Hey.
I am deceased on that one.
But was it so disgusting that you couldn't open his wallet?
Well, see, here's the thing. Okay, I'm not that type of girl. You know, I like nice things. You know, I don't mind having a dude that has money and everything. But he was a real nice guy. We actually had a real vibe going on. So he wasn't somebody who I was going to say, okay, well, I'm just going to keep him around for this or that. You know, he was a nice guy. You know, so, and I didn't want to like just keeping him around, and I didn't really have anything for him. And you know, I have my own money, so money wasn't all that to me.
So you guys weren't emotionally connected. It was just.
We was getting to that point emotionally connected. I'm not gonna even lie, you know, because we were spending a lot of time together. But it was just something in me that I just couldn't get past. You know, he was just too open, you know, with his profession. I even spoke to him a couple times. I was like, you know, there's some things I don't want to hear or be around, you know, and he was just like, I just couldn't. I don't know what, maybe it's something with me. Maybe I wasn't too open-minded, but I just couldn't. That kind of bothered me. It really
You could have
did.
got a discount on a mean, you know, I'm just saying, somebody passed in the family, funeral would have been cheap as hell.
Well, I did, because like I said, that's how I met him. I got a lot of discounts and everything, but listen, come on. Somebody rolls up and they tell you they got Mrs. Gomez in the back and they out in their car and it's a body. You let me know how you feel about that.
Oh, I'm black. I'm calling the police on you, G. I'm not getting my accessory. No, sir.
Yeah, that right there, I was like, oh, no, I just couldn't. And he was a nice guy, and that's why I said, you know, maybe just let him go his way, I go my way. Maybe later on we can revisit the situation and see if it will work out later on. But, then we never, like, hook back up. But we still know each other and stuff. Still cool. But that's my worst dating experience right now.
Yeah, they'll take the cake right now. I don't even want to tell my ass. You got that.
I'm telling you, that was just crazy.
I don't even want to talk about mine. Y'all got that.
What happened with yours?
Oh, mine ain't nothing compared to that. Ain't nobody pull up Miss Gomez.
Yeah, okay.
See that?
Just think of that. Somebody laying in their home that night thinking their loved one is just, you know, somewhere being, you know, I guess prepared and, you know, for the services, and they at my house. You know what I'm saying? They at my house.
They got to realize the funeral home director got a life too. When his lady called, your family just got to be frozen in the back. It'd be like that.
You know what? Listen. I mean, that's wrong on every level right there.
Where they gonna go? They all ready.
What? Hello? Look, I would have been good if he was a half an hour late to go make a pit stop and drop her off. All right? I wouldn't have been beefing or nothing. He would have hurt my mouth. He could have been I would have gave him even an hour. But just to think. I mean, he came after touching her and putting her in the freezer, came and hugged me. It was with me that night. You understand what I'm saying? Like, right, literally after he picked the body up and tossed it in the I just couldn't let it go. Everything was going through my head. Everything was going through my head. You know,
So
of
you
course,
never rode in the hearse?
roll in a hearse.
Yeah, like
With
you
him?
never take you on a date in the funeral home car?
Hell no. He had that big Yukon, and now I know what was going on in the back. and stuff. Because I didn't realize he had a freezer back there, a refrigerator.
Man, if
Until
that
he
body
was
would
like,
have set up one time, you'd have never called him again.
listen,
You'd never called him again.
listen. You know, I have a lot of respect for a funeral home. My uncle's a funeral home director, so I mean, I have a lot of respect for him, but I just couldn't like. At that point, that was just to me, it was a bad experience, and I just couldn't bring myself to be like, all right, well, let me try to overlook this and work through. I wasn't willing to do it back then. I wasn't. Maybe if we ever tried to spark something up now, I'll like think about it and stuff. But I don't know. I don't know. No.
Kimberly, the floor is yours.
Is she even there, Kimberly?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm switching over to my laptop.
All right, big dog, let's go. Let's see what's dating experience. Come on.
Really, you want to pass it over to me? See, Kimberly's back. Kimberly is so back.
Hey, Kimmy.
See, she back.
Okay, can y'all hear me loud and clear?
Sure can.
Yep.
Whew, thank
Yes,
God.
ma'am.
Okay, so this was a few years ago. Before Katrina. This is how I date a lot of things in my life now. Before Katrina. So.
Wait, excuse me. You're from New Orleans?
Yes.
So am I.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you living at now?
Now I live in I live in Midway.
Oh, so you're in Florida too?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I just need to call it a day and move myself back to Florida. That's all. But
where are you now?
I digress. Well, I'm back in New Orleans now, but we were just in Florida for a couple of days. I used to live in Lakeland.
Mm-hmm.
When after Katrina, I was there for a while, and I absolutely loved it. It was beautiful. The weather, just everything. And then we went to Pensacola for a few days. Just got back today, and I was like, I miss living in Florida. So, but anyway, I digress. So this was a few.
Accent. I'm sorry, y'all.
No, it's okay. It's fine. So we were. This is before Katrina. This was so long ago. This was before like social media. Like this was when people were still on the party lines, on the chat lines, meeting people, right? So got on the party line, connected with this guy, talked for a few days, had great conversations. So he's like, okay, we are going to meet up for lunch. He's like, you can pick me up from work. He had a job with the state, doing accounting for, I forget which state, which branch of the state he worked for. But I was like, okay, cool, I can totally get with that. So I'm like, I'll pick you up for lunch, no problem. So he told me where he was. So I'm, excited because like I said, conversation was great. We really connected. So I'm driving down the street. I'm on his, on the phone with him. And he's like, yeah, okay, well, you close. I'm going to step outside. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm rolling up the street and I stopped at a light, like maybe a block or two away. And I see this guy standing outside in like this powder blue suit. And I thought to myself, it's hot outside. Why is that man wearing a powder blue, what looks like polyester suit?
Polyester.
Time of the year. I'm laughing. Like, I'm like, oh my God, that is so hilarious. Why is he? And I get closer and closer and closer. And I start thinking, Kim, this might actually be your date. And guess what?
It was your date.
It was powder blue suit with some black fake patent leather shoes.
Ooh.
Let me just say that. So I'm like, don't be rude. Because I was like, I could keep going. I'm just gonna keep going, rolling past him. He don't know what I look like, and it's like, no, don't do that. Do not judge. You don't want nobody to judge you. Don't judge him. Fine. He gets in the car. He looks nothing like what he describes himself as, and he was at least probably 10 or 15 years older than what he said, and he had missing teeth.
So you just got catfish.
Totally, before catfishing was even a thing. Did I mention the food smelled like mothballs? Okay, I forgot to say he smelled like mothballs. So there's that. So I'm like, okay.
So wait, how did you meet him again when there was no social media?
On the party line, girl.
On the phone party line?
Yeah, you know, back in the days.
So you was running to the phone getting catfish.
Running to the phone getting catfish. Like I said, this was so long ago, it was way before social media. I don't even think I had my second son yet. I don't even think I had my second son yet. That's how long ago it was. So I'm like, all right, we still gonna give it a chance, because I'm like, we gonna commit. We're gonna commit to this, right? We're gonna commit. So we get to the place where we're gonna have lunch. Redfish Grill. So we get to the front. I order, he orders. We go to pay. He's like, oh, I left my wallet in my desk at work.
Girl.
He left that wallet where he left that, pick that pseudo pack.
Right.
Yeah, granddaddy was just lying, man.
And I would have been like, well, I'm leaving you. I see me, I'm leaving you right here.
Me not wanting to be embarrassed. I said, okay, no problem. I pull out my debit card. Here you go. We're going to pay for this. Not a problem. So we sit down. Did I mention he ordered a beer as well? Yeah, he did. Anyway, so we sit down. We get our lunch. He starts telling me how he's about to put his mama in a home so he could live in her Section 8 house. He want to take over her Section 8 so he don't have to pay rent no more. So he's about to put her in a home because she's sick.
And he told you this on the first date?
Told me this on the first date. Did I mention the powder blue suit too? That smell like more bottle?
The blue suit, the powder blue suit. I see it. I picture it with the leather suits.
Just making sure.
Cummerbund and all that.
He did not have the cummerbund. He did not have the tie. But let me tell you something. I wouldn't have been surprised if he pulled it out of his pocket. I would have totally been expecting it to come out of his pocket. So we're eating, and he's dropping food all down his clothes and talking with his mouth wide open at the same time. So they got these two cops that's having lunch near us. They are dying laughing. So I'm even more embarrassed at this point because they're listening and they're seeing what's happening and they see the look on my face. So he's like, excuse me. He's like, I'm gonna step to the restroom. So I walk over to the cops. I say, excuse me, can you arrest this man? Just arrest him, and so I can get out of here. And they're like, man, we can't. They were like, you sir. I was like, please, I got to get away from this man. They were like, we cannot do that. So he comes back. I promptly end the date. I'm like, listen, let me get you back to work. We step outside. Do you know this fool had the nerve to try to kiss me?
Ew.
Try to kiss me. Did I mention
Yuck Mouth tried to kiss you?
Did I mention he only had like 4 teeth?
Yeah, Yuck Mouth.
At the top? Okay, I thought I forgot to say that. And I'm like, man, what? I said, what are you doing?
So what did he order to eat with only a couple of teeth?
He ordered a hamburger.
I mean, what can he possibly eat?
No, he ordered a hamburger and he chewed that mother. I'm so sorry. He chewed it like he had a mouthful of teeth. Do you hear me? Mouthful. Because it was everywhere, all down the front of his clothes. I was embarrassed. Very embarrassed. And when I brought him back to work, I didn't even stop all the way. I slowed to a roll and let him hop out. I didn't even stop. And I was, and that was the first and last time I was on the party line to meet somebody. Never did it again after that. Never did it again. He was catfishing before catfishing was even a thing. He might have been the original catfish. He may have been the original.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what was his name? I wonder what his name. What did the name match look? Like his name really match how he look?
I don't even remember.
Because I'm thinking like his name is Smitty or something like that.
Like
what's his name?
like a
But he
urban.
lied about his age, and I'm like, why
Huggy Bear.
why do people even do that? If you are very obviously not the age that you say, and the person meets you, how do you explain
How
it?
old he told you he was?
He told me at the time, he told me he was like 28, and a man looked to be about 45. Like, no jokes. And I'm all 45 at that. And I'm being generous because I really could have said like 52, but I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to judge, but I don't get the whole, if you know you're going to meet somebody, why are you lying about what you look like? Why are you lying about your age?
That man could have gave you rent-free Section 8 housing, and you turned it down because he's missing a few teeth. What do these women really want?
Jay.
Yeah, you might have to just parade his food every night, and stuff. Get everything,
Listen,
You
I
had
got the mouth all
you had
smells. You
to
ain't have to worry
visit
about
mom in the
snakes coming
homes and
around.
shit.
listen,
right?
I feel like that whole experience, like I did not relay it properly, but it was horrifying. It was horrifying. But it really changed things about the way I dated people, and it changed when the way I went about even meeting people at the time.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's like I'm being upfront about who I am, what I look like, all these things. I need to know you are too. So I'm not believing
He
anything you
probably
say.
looked like that 15 years prior to y'all. Like if you'd have met him like 10 years ago, he'd have been everything he said he was.
Right. But listen, Jay ain't lying. He telling the truth. He telling the
Life
truth.
be hard, man. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly that. Yes. And at one time he did look like he was good looking. At one time he looked like he was a good looking man, but again, it's not for me to judge. It's not for me to judge, but sir, no. It is a negative for me.
Out of blue suit.
The biggest negative should have been any man ready to put his mama in a home for Section 8 living is a man you don't need to date anyway.
That's true. That's true. When he went to saying it, I was like, what? And maybe he thought that would appeal to me, that he would have a Section 8 house, cheap rent. I don't know, but that's
So that was his ambition in life.
No.
That was his ambition in life, securing that Section 8, not the bag, but the Section 8.
That was his ambition.
Hey, once he get that cheap rent, everything else gonna fall in place. The teeth will come back.
Jay is just wholeheartedly committed to this thing. Let's just say that Jay is wholeheartedly committed to it.
I am a firm believer in seeing it through to the finish line. You gotta see it through.
You gotta see it through. Something
You
like
got to see it through, my boy. Isn't that what they say? You got to see it through, my boy.
Yeah, see it through. Any man that went through that much effort to lie to you, you know what I'm saying, and get you there, he had good intentions.
Are you serious? What I'm hearing right now? He had good intentions.
Man had good intentions.
He playing.
I know it. I'm serious.
Y'all
don't want to see the romance and stuff. Y'all ain't watch the movies?
What movies? I don't watch movies. What movies?
You know what I'm saying? It's the romantic, it's the little things. That man lied to you with about the little things to get you there, so you can see the bigger picture.
Jay, I'm gonna ask you to cut the bologna, cut the crap, cut the sugar honey iced tea.
That man, he was looking for nothing but help. He was waiting on his mama's Section 8. He went to her fun mill and a ride. He only wanted was help. That's it.
Okay.
Why mama shouldn't give that man his Section 8? He been there for. Obviously, he there for. She owed that man that Section 8.
So he looking at her Section 8.
That brings me to this question. Like, honest question for each and every one of us. Okay, when you're dating and you meet somebody who's nice and they are, I'm not gonna say have potential, but they're working towards different things, but they don't have their own place, they don't have a car, would you still date that person?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know. It depends. It
For
depends.
me,
Go
for
ahead.
me, when I met my husband, it was after Katrina. Ironically, he lived in New Orleans the same time I lived in New Orleans, but we never met. He's from Tallahassee. But once I moved to Tallahassee, we met repeatedly. Like, repeatedly, I thought he was stalking me. And he worked for the city of Tallahassee. But at the time, he was on the crew, the road crew. But he had ambition. The issue was he didn't have the guidance that he needed. Like, he didn't have that support system because he had been beaten so much by life. You know, he didn't have anyone not there to say, hey, you can do this, you can make a difference, da, 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 da. This is what you're capable of doing. So me, being the race that I was raised, I'm going to go get it by any means necessary, right? So it was really a matter of restoring his confidence that he was capable of doing anything. It was a matter of praying together. I literally put little notes, in which I still do, have notes like little cue cards on the window, see your, like on the mirrors in our bathrooms, even in my son's bathroom, see yourself the way God sees you, flip the switch, you know, make the change, like positive reinforcement. Now, we've been married 13 years. When I met my husband, he didn't make enough like 20 cents for cheese on a waffle. Now he works at the power plant and he's on an upward bound spiral, and he is the breadwinner, praise God for that. But in the beginning, that's not what it was. You know, I stuck with him, showed him that, you know, first of all, my husband is exceedingly intelligent, but because of life, he never used his talents, right? He was always under the impression because I had kids, you know, I always had to sacrifice and put them first, which he still does, but no one ever told him that just having kids didn't mean that your dreams had to die. Right. You know what I mean? So my husband went to school. He immediately excelled. He has like an eidetic memory, which doesn't bode well for arguments. But although he wasn't the man that had $1 million, he's $1 million man. And it required, he was $1 million man, and he had already decided that he wanted to make a difference. So in reality, I came in at the right time. You know what I mean? And it was like our Wonder Twin forces came together, and we were able to become this unstoppable force. Because now, if he didn't have no ambition, and he was good just with the subpar, I'm out. But there's a difference. You know, you can have money and have no ambition. You know what I mean? But to have somebody, a partner that's just as hungry as you are, and then you push each other to show, like, I'm hungry, you hungry, will show me you're starving. And that's the kind of relationship. But initially, like when we met, he didn't have 20 cents to get cheese on a waffle. And my husband, we have 10 kids, but only one of them is biologically mine. Right? Not now. I'm gonna say all 10 aren't his, because if a child if his child had a sibling that did not have a parent in his life, his or her life, he became that child's parent, even to the point of, you know, giving that child his last name. But before then, he was a whoremonger. Again, I have no room to judge because I was too. The only difference is that he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. I didn't. But he had none. Him was staying with his daddy on the south side. And when we met, I was in the executive position, but it was who he was that made the difference. So that's just from my experience.
Well, and I totally agree. And that's why I say it depends. You know, if you can have somebody who don't have anything, but you can always tell what true ambition is and like a real good character is. You understand what I'm saying? And I'll be willing to work with that. But then on the other hand, you can also tell who the gamers are. And I always got my radar for that. You know, and you don't want to waste time. It's nothing wrong with building your partner up, building your man up, or building you. I have no problems with that at all. But when I get to a point where I'm building you up and I'm just real now it's coming to a point where it's nothing but gain and you're not even trying to build your own self up, then I have an issue with it. That's why I'm very selective of who I give my time and my energy to like that. And some people there's a couple of guys who, I dated and, and I turned away from because I just felt that, maybe they wasn't where I wanted to see them at. Maybe it took a little bit more time, but I don't have time to waste too, on the other hand. You know what I'm saying? And, sometimes, I just got to use my judgment, my better judgment and go like, okay, if this person's worth it, what is he really doing to get himself there? How hard is he grinding? There's nothing wrong with, supporting your man, as long as the heart is good and the intentions is good. But that's a beautiful story. That's a beautiful life you have. I'm so happy for you and stuff because everybody don't have that.
I think that is a beautiful
story. I'm a firm believer that Hurricane Katrina happened because for a reason, because the way my life was set up.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely.
It's not his first time. It's like I never saw marriage in my future. Never. I really didn't see having kids because I was so focused on work. And at home, we know how to have a good time. And
right.
My son is very hooked on finance, y'all. He behind me cracking nothing but the mad jokes. But anywho,
my son crashed our thing
that was trying to happen because otherwise my life would not have changed. I knew I was praying for something, but it's green, son, because it's mixed alcohol. Get out my drink.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah, you do that. All up on my cup. Anywho, like I was saying, but it happened for a reason because I was enjoying my life.
Yeah.
How long you staying on the night?
That's wonderful. Who was that, Jay? Who said that?
No, you said that was wonderful, and I said that is.
Oh, I thought they said something.
Damn.
What, Jay? What's wrong?
Man, Jay, listening. I'm listening. There's some beautiful stories being shared right now.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful experience, and I wish more of us, men and women, were able to determine, who was really worth it. Because sometimes we put way too much into a person, way too much before we realize they're not going anywhere, and they wait.
The question become like, when you put your energy into a person, right, and you realize they're not reciprocating that energy, you gotta be strong enough to be like, fuck, no matter how much I want you, I can't do this with you. Because energy you got to match that. If you want me to put my time in you, and you ain't bringing enough to the table, at least match my energy.
Yeah,
that's all I'm asking. Because I can be the table and I can put food on the table, but I can't match both our energy.
Yeah, it took me a long time to get out of a situation that I was in, 8 years, as a matter of fact, before I was finally able to completely pull myself away from this person. But it took a lot of prayer. It took a lot of talking to God, universe. It took a lot of talking to myself. It took a lot. It was a process. And that's why I'm to a point now where I don't judge people for being with who they with. I don't point the finger. I don't say, "Oh, you are stupid." Like, I don't do that anymore, because I realize and understand feelings and emotional attachments and other things go into all of that. But once it came down to the come down, by the time it hit me, I was like, I hope you get everything you deserve. And
because it comes to a point where you stay in it, the situation that's just horrible for so long. Now you're coming out of character and want bad for this person. You understand what I'm saying?
It's not that I want bad. I just said I hope you get everything you deserve. That could be good or bad. I'm not.
Sometimes you get very addicted and be right. Like, listen, you know,
She's too good of a person. I want you to get evil. I don't want good. I don't want good to be near your future.
I
Don't you get
can't,
hit by a bus?
I can't say that.
No,
I
you got a good
I don't
soul.
want to say that. But I know karma is a very real thing, and that's why
no,
I
that's
say
what I'm talking about, karma. Yeah,
Karma be taking
Yeah.
too long. I want to get even ASAP.
get them
Karma
now,
can take
right?
years.
Get them got.
You can't listen. You can't do that because when karma finally comes back, she is so sweet. She's ufu ma, as my daddy says.
Man, karma be
Delicious.
one sided. Man, karma done beat me up 3-4 times. I know people who done did worse than me.
Oh,
Well, I don't know, Jay, but I mean, I get what you're saying. I understand because we have those feelings and emotions and things happening, and you know. But I just, I like I said, I hope you get everything you deserve, and I move along. But
But I got a question though. You say you was with somebody for 8 years. It took you
yeah,
8 years to get away. Why did it take you 8 years to get away out? Like, get out of that though. Like what made you stay so long?
because I didn't understand myself and I didn't love myself enough. I wasn't connected with myself enough. That's why I was still in that mode of not wanting to hurt other people's feelings, not wanting other people to feel bad, rather than putting myself first.
Right.
That's where I was. Everybody else came before me. That's what took me so long.
So what was that flip of the switch moment? You was like, fuck it. It's about Kimberly.
So it started with I had planned something for his birthday. His birthday was always a special time to me. He never really celebrated for, umpteen reasons why he never celebrated. So this particular year, I wanted to do something special. So I made all of these plans, did all of these things. And a few days before his birthday, he calls me and he said, look, because he used to buy and sell cars and he would go and get them. I used to go with him sometimes. He would go and get them. And he said, look, he said, I put a bid in on a Porsche in California and they accepted it. So I'm going to get it. So my birthday plans are canceled. And I was just like, okay. Like shocked and offended and hurt because I had put so much into this. So I was pissed, and I let him know I was pissed. So we didn't talk for about 2 weeks. I didn't even know he had come back. So something happened. He ended up calling me. I ended up calling him. I can't remember. So we ended up spending some time together. And I was, I did do a few of the things. I didn't do the complete thing, but I did do a few of the things. But I still had 2 gifts to give him. I had gotten him a robe and he loved infinities. I had gotten him an infinity sweater, like made an infinity hoodie with the infinity symbol. Can't even get this shit in America. Okay. I had to order from Mexico. But anyway, I digress. But I knew he would love it. So I'm like, I called him up one night. I said, listen, I still have 2 more gifts to give to you. I want to come and just, drop them to you. And he's like, I'm just chilling right now. Like his attitude towards me was very cold, very mean. He was like, I'm chilling right now. I don't, I'll get that shit another time. I don't want to be bothered with it right now.
Wow, I get that shit another time. That's what you said.
And I was like, oh,
okay.
I said, okay. I said, no problem. And I just hung up the phone. And when I hung up the phone, I said, Kim, why are you doing this to yourself? Why do you keep doing this to yourself? You have got to stop. At some point, you have got to stop. So I cried on the way home. But when I got home, I blocked his number and I deleted him out my phone. And it was hard. But once I made up in my mind, I'm like, listen, you better than this. You deserve more. You have to put yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
You have to come first. And it was just that moment. And that's why I always tell people, you'll get tired when you get tired. And when you get tired, you'll be done.
Mm-hmm.
No matter if it takes 10 months or 10 years. When you get to that point, you'll be done. And that'll be it. But you have to go through that process. Sometimes you just have to go through that whole process to get to that point where you really see who is important. And it's you. You are important. You are who matters. Okay? And I'm just going to say, I left it at that. I didn't have any ill will towards him. Didn't have any angry words towards him. I just cut him off and that was that. Because guess what? You need me. I don't need you, baby. You need me. I don't need you. Straight up. And that's just what it is.
You know, I just wish these men could come with common attractions.
I need a billboard.
A billboard going across their forehead. Look, this is the fuckery I'm gonna do. Just flash and going across right their forehead.
I need some signage or something. I need y'all to have something and say I'm cute, you know, working with some good eggplant, but I ain't got no job. I got 4 kids. I
don't want to cheating.
I like to cheat. My car broke down, so I'm a constantly bum ride. Like, I need all these details. I need to see all of this. I need paperwork.
Exactly. I'm telling you.
The question is, if you had the chance to pick a good man with a bad eggplant, you gonna pick the nigga with the good eggplant who's a bad man?
No. You know why, Jay? Because you can listen. A person can be instructed. You can teach a person.
Mm-hmm.
You can teach a person. So that is irrelevant. I'm not gonna say it's irrelevant because it is something to deal with. Let me take that back.
Well, I mean, wait. Hold on. Oh yeah, you gotta take that back. You can teach a person as long as they got the right tools.
You can instruct them.
Yeah.
What if that man garden hose ain't the garden hose for you? You know what I'm saying? What if his garden hose ain't the garden? What if his garden hose ain't as long as
Jay, you getting into a whole nother rabbit hole, no pun intended here.
I'm just saying, like
you got fingers, you got a mouth, and there are toys.
Jamaican men don't do that with their mouths. I'm just saying.
Well, I ain't never dated no Jamaican man, but I can tell you Haitian men do. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
Can we move on to the next topic, please? Are we done?
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. Go ahead, my bad. It's Jay. It's Jay. Jay out here in these streets causing a ruckus.
I'm just saying. You said he could be instructed. What if he ain't got the tools in the shed to be instructed?
You could go to Lowe's or Home Depot and buy what you need, baby.
Okay, Jay, I'm finna switch the topic now.
I plead the fifth on that one.
Hey, see, look, it's a real party on here who being very honest. Thank her.
I plead the fifth.
Listen,
I mean, you gotta have the tools.
We gonna have that conversation for the after show. We gonna put a pin in that, okay?
Exactly. Moving on
to
favorite music time.
Very biased. This question here is gonna be very biased.
Okay, you want to keep this going? Then go.
Oh no, I'm talking about favorite music time period. This question is gonna be biased.
Why you figure that?
Because it's people here who born in a earlier time period than me, and they gonna be like their time period was the best because certain like they gonna be like we had real R&B's or the lyrics was better. I would argue that my time period is the best of music. Like the 90s and the 2000s is the best music because the 2010s. The 2010s is the best because they literally saying nothing and they making it sound good. You know how talented you got to be to make nothing sound good. Like really?
No. I'm gonna fix that. They making the nothing sound good with all of the remakes from back in our time. Because I'm gonna let you know what my age is. So all that stuff they going over. We was talking about just the other night and stuff. It's all remakes and stuff, but all samples. So ain't nobody talented nowhere making nothing sound good.
It's the producer talented because he making it sound
But
good.
the producer it's taking samples and doing remakes.
Then he put his own sample to that sample, making it his original.
He's what, adding a hi-hat? I mean, really?
Yeah.
Really? No.
For me, it's
I didn't
the
really
60s
think this
and
topic all the way
70s.
through.
Right.
It's the 60s and
60s and
70s because
70s.
everybody samples Marvin Gaye,
The Temptations.
Oh nah,
Earth, Wind,
no,
and
definitely
Fire.
not.
Everybody
Definitely not.
samples them. That's what makes the hits the hits.
Mm.
Back
Nah,
then,
definitely.
in the 60s and
It's
70s,
like
and that was my parents'
everybody
era.
like New Orleans bounce music. Every bounce song that comes from New Orleans that even Beyonce and everybody imitated has the basic beat that's called the Browns beat.
That's it.
That beat been around forever. You could put that beat to any song and it's gonna jump off. So you gotta go back to the original.
That's not true. You gotta thank the producer nowadays for remixing them beats. You don't want to hear the same thing 20 times. But if you can hear the same thing 20 times, the beat's different.
It requires originality to come up with DNA. The song would be nothing without the DNA.
Exactly. Thank you.
That's the deal.
And the DNA is back in the days when they actually got in the studio to record with actual instruments, not some little machine that they tapping buttons and stuff. They had actual pianos and horns and stuff in there. You know?
I look like music and like athletes. You know what I'm saying? Everybody argue about who the greatest athlete. You will never know who the greatest athlete because they never play together. But I can tell you one thing. Over time, athletes got bigger, faster, and better. Music got better, better, and better. So that means my generation of music is the best. If you gonna constantly improve.
Hey, I got to back one man up. I'm from the same era.
But you're constantly improving upon something that the foundation was something else. That's like me saying, okay, I'm going to build this building, right? And I'm going to build a skyscraper. No matter how much you build into that skyscraper, no matter how tall you make it, the foundation has to be solid. Otherwise, it's going to do like that building did in South Florida. Without the foundation, there's nothing. See, you can't just say I'm a fly unless you jump off the ground. Even the plane has to lift off from the ground before it can fly. Even the bird has to lift off from the ground before it can fly. So there's always a foundation in the base.
I'm gonna put my Kanye West card and say R. Kelly had the best music of all time. There, I said.
I don't know about all time, but he has some good music. It's hard not to listen to.
Don't disrespect Michael Jackson like that, sir. Don't do that.
Okay.
No, we're talking about. Well,
we talking about if we talking era comparisons. You gotta think we from the 90s.
I mean,
Michael was already done.
Like he had a sincere storyline. Like who comes up with How the Man in the Closet and it's a different series? I mean. You gotta get credit where credit is due. Exactly. It's a story.
I mean, real life inspiration is something else. That's why they say truth is stranger than fiction.
What you say to that, Jay?
I'm gonna say that I can relate to a lot of his lyrics.
I rest my case, Jay.
I'm gonna say I told you this opinion was gonna be biased.
But you still haven't, you still haven't refuted my argument though.
I'm like we branched off. I'm gonna lie. I get your argument that y'all the foundation. That argument is true. I'm saying I give you all that. But we made what y'all created better. You know they done branched off and it's something called trap soul now where they got trap artists singing and it sounds so beautiful. Like it's like a whole different type of pain.
Let me ask you this though. If it wasn't for that boom, 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 how successful would that song be? It requires the originality.
I don't know, man. Cause these new producers, man, they can make you some stuff now.
Swiss Beats done took a lot and curveballed a lot.
Yeah,
Timberland has
to the core. He's still sampling.
Well, you gotta understand, Swiss Beats and Timberland's been around since the 90s.
That's not sampled.
They knocked these 20.
Like if you have picked up a piece or a part, then you are not the creator of it. You're the alternator of it, but you're not the creator of it. You see what I'm saying?
If that's the case, then we gotta pay homage to gospel music because a lot of these dudes sample stuff from gospel music.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, it's all bricks from the same building. It's all bricks from the same building. They build on one another.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it goes. And I just feel like to answer this favorite music time period, for me, it's the 20s, 30s, and 40s when Black people were really pioneering and doing their own thing when it came to music.
In a classy way.
Yes. When they were really
20, 30s, and 40s. She's talking about what Rosa Parks was saying.
I'm talking during times when they really had to. You talk about grind to make it. You talking about the Chitlin circuit. You talking about dusty, hot, man. Look, listen. 20, 30, and 40.
Disclaimer: this is the last time I bring this topic to the table.
And I'm not saying what you're saying is incorrect, Jay. But what I am saying is it's all bricks from the same building because they all build. You can't have one without the other. You can't have all the rest without what came first. That's all I'm saying.
I agree with that.
Love and happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that this was a biased topic, we are going to switch this up again.
I don't think it was biased. I think everybody, music is a very personal thing. So to me, there is no bias in music because it's a personal thing, just like a favorite color. It connects with people in different ways.
We're going to do this topic. It's education. No, too much. Yes. Come on, we strong people here. It's education, really educating our youth. I'm going to open the door up on this. Okay?
No.
Begin. It's education, really educating our youth.
Nope, it's not.
No.
Education teaches our youth to be employees. Education does not teach our youth to be entrepreneurs and or explore what life really has to offer.
You was talking about the other day.
Education teaches our children obedience.
Yeah.
Education teaches our males femininity, and it does not teach them the foundation. Here is the major thing that I've learned, the difference between Louisiana and being here in Florida. In Louisiana, the school I went to, we embraced our heritage. If the street has a French name, we knew why it was a French name, and we knew that we were conquered by the French, then the Spanish, then the French, then the Spanish again, and then the Germans came in. We knew our lineage, we knew our history. However, in Florida, first of all, they have a whole bunch of Indian names, but no one knows who Hiawatha is. So it does not, in my opinion, especially as a parent with a 12-year-old in school, I don't feel like the education system is helping him. I feel like the education system is really failing him. I feel like what he learns outside of the school environment, what I as his mother teach him, what his father teach him, what his aunts and uncles teach him, actually prepares him for the world. The school system does not. The school system is just another method of making money off of our children. But that's just my humble opinion. And that's it.
I think we need real curriculums. We need home economics to come back. Definitely bring that back because I don't know how to cook for nothing. We need taxes. We need to teach kids about taxes. Their credit score. None of that credit is important. A lot of black kids' credit be shot, super shot by the time they turn 18.
Well, and that don't even be their fault half of the time.
I'm gonna put their bills in there.
Exactly.
That's why it's super shot by the time they turn 18. In my profession, I teach parents to when your child turns 14 and 15-year-old to go ahead. If you don't have a credit card in good standing, go ahead and get a prepaid card and keep that card and make the minimum, just only charge a little bit and add your child to it so your child can piggyback off that credit history. Like on my nephew, now he's turned 18. He graduated from Leon. He's going to LSU. He'll be able to purchase a home because his credit score is where it needs to be, as well as he's had 2 years of unemployment. So he is set to step out. But here's the thing about money. Schools should teach economics. Actually, there's a lot of schools in other states that do teach economics, that does teach credit preparation and does, prepare a child for that aspect. They don't do it here in Florida, but in other schools, in other states, they do. But here's what another thing. Parents can't teach their kids something that they don't know. Now, that economics, had we known, and when I say we, I mean me, myself, I'm going to say, if my parents would have known, they would have been able to teach me the economics to know that once you go off to college and they start offering you all these credit cards, don't ball out of control. But my parents never had credit to be able to manage credit, so they couldn't teach me something that they didn't know. But as a part of my job as a real estate agent, I take the hat and say I need to educate others, so therefore they can educate their children. That's how we break the generational curse, in my opinion, or that's what I do for it. But in order for a parent, or even a lot of teachers are renting, they don't know. So they can't teach something that they don't know. And in order for you to have a certain tool set, you have to have the tools. So it's a mixed thing. Y'all, why my clients not sleep this time? Like they still texting me. I'm sorry, I digress. But I finished my speech and I'm off the podium.
I totally agree. And I think a lot of these teachers need to start being screened big time before they allowed to have a teacher's license and teach kids. What Kimberly got?
I'm right here. I had to respond to something, but I'm still here. I'm listening.
My bad. I was trying to fix my mic. That's why I left last
Jay
night.
or
I'm waiting for Big Dog to give his input. He just over there looking.
right.
I
I'll be here just looking at you, and we answering, and you ain't saying nothing. You ain't really answering.
Well, you know how I feel about the circumstances, like I said earlier. And I've just was reading some news update today, and they was making this whole critical race theory such a big prioritized issue amongst
you
going
talking
back to
about
school.
race theory that say it's about how whites are here, because it's hard to explain. I see what you're talking about though. My fault, Jamie.
Yeah, but no, and then Texas passed their whole law of saying basically in school it's okay for teachers to go around and say, well, the KKK wasn't all that bad, give them some leadway for something. Like, this is how far we've gotten in history today to be like, it's cool to put praises on that, but you've been removing all these statues and taking all these flags down, but it's okay to still glorify that.
That's because we are allowing them to erase our contribution to history. No one can do something unless you allow them to do it. You can't be technically abused unless you allow that person to do it. A person can't mistreat you in a relationship unless you allow them to do it. So we are allowing them to do it, because the major downfall of our people is lack of organization. We are so have such a crab in the bucket mentality that we don't want to let no person get ahead of us or have more than us or be equal to us, that we don't know how to band together. And that was when we were actually broken. When they broke the family, and when they came in and they colonized us and separated us based upon our complexion. That's when they taught us to turn against one another. So if you notice, every other race can come together and they'll live. Hispanic people would have 100,000 people in one house.
Living with
And
them.
one by one, each family member will propel the other family member to come out. In every other race, they're able to do this. However, we were broken from our core and we've never mended. So that's why this transgression has been able to perpetuate itself.
I'm picking back with what she said.
Wow.
But the reason I don't like the crab in the bucket saying is because crabs don't belong in the bucket. That's the reason they pull each other down. You know what I'm saying? We gotta help each other. You know what I'm saying? We know the problem with black people. We can't organize and come together for shit. We've been saying that for generations. But what are we gonna do to fix that shit? Like, we gotta come. Like, it's time. We got enough. We know all the problems in the black community. What is we as the black community gonna do to fix those things? So let's be honest. It go beyond school. School. We've been through the education system with fucked up. They don't teach us truly about black history. Like, let's be honest. Black history is like the worst taught subject in school. Like, I had a white teacher teaching me black history, G. And to be honest, the dude didn't even look like he was comfortable teaching that shit.
And that's been going on for years. And my thing is, we hear people saying, yeah, they don't do this and do that in the schools. But all right, fine. When are we going to take it upon ourselves to do it at home then? You know, if they're not teaching enough black history in schools, why don't we teach it at home? You know, and it's like, I think we just so programmed and so used to saying, oh, they not. But what are we doing to pick up the slack from what we think that our children are missing out on? You know, well, I mean, education to me starts at the home anyway.
Man, a lot of these parents ain't educated.
Well, there you go.
You ever had your parents try to help you with homework and they was more confused than you?
Another good
You
point.
look at your parents sad as hell, like, wow, this is really what I gotta look forward to. This third grade homework, Mom. She calling your auntie. Your auntie the smart one in the family. Your auntie don't know the answers. She calling her husband.
And that's sad when you're an adult, you having issues helping a third grader with their homework.
It be like that though. Like, in a lot of communities, like, look, they got that diploma though. They love bringing up that diploma. Like, you be like, oh man, if you got that and you don't know your third grade work, obviously that diploma ain't that difficult.
Oh no.
That old saying, they were just handing them out during that time period.
It's
just sad.
We living in the time period where we so informed that we misinformed.
Oh, okay. Deep breath.
You're also living in a time period whereas if you notice, it's like in certain families, it's okay for generations after generations to go ahead and just be okay and prepare themselves for their future just to be on welfare and expect to get this and that from the government. No ambition to go out there and get your own. I mean, you got grown men out there that are very able-bodied that's just waiting, oh yeah, when I get this age, I can get this welfare. When I do this, I'm like, that's just like, what are you learning at home? And this is like for generations I'm seeing in certain families. You know, oh yeah, well, you know, I'm gonna go collect these food stamps. I'm gonna do this and do that. You know, and and they're good with that. That's what angers me.
I mean, that's the only thing they saw. They never saw a man wake up every morning and go to work.
Absolutely, that's what I just said. So it's passing down generation to generation. You know, you have the fathers telling the sons, "Hey, you know, when you get this age, you can go and collect this and collect that." Like, you know, what type of times are we in? You know, like.
Man, we in a time of everybody want money, but don't nobody want to work. You know? Everybody want to be a hustler. Everybody want to beat the system and cheat the system. And that's the reason we so like when it comes to bills being passed and everybody be like, the system is against us, or the system against us because we don't got enough kids in the school trying to get into the system. You want to beat the system, take the system out systematically, beat it inside out.
So this is my input on the whole education thing. They were never prepared to educate us in the first place.
Most definitely.
They never wanted to. And that's why the system just doesn't work for us.
I got a question though.
Yes.
Do you think we'd have been better off if we stayed segregated?
Yes. Yes.
I think we would. I kind of. I can kind of get with the separate but equal thing to a certain degree, because separation is never equal.
The white man's ice is never colder.
Right.
You know, that's a popular belief a lot of people have, but it's ice. It's ice.
Right. But I don't think that if we were separate, we would truly be equal. Like we're not equal now. Do I think? I firmly believe that we were created, honestly, to intermingle, not just Caucasian and African Americans as people, period. Because when you see the mixture of different races together, it doesn't always have to be African American and Caucasian, but just a different mixture. We make beautiful people. We are beautiful people by nature. Now, in regards to the separate but equal, I really have mixed reviews on that one, because when you think about, okay, you forced us to be separate, and then we blossomed, and then you had to come and destroy it because you were jealous of it. Yeah, that's the issue. But that nature has even been bred into African Americans. We don't know how to be together. And I think that we were forced together back then. That's why it worked. Not that we wanted to, but I think that we were forced to. Because if you think about it, before we had all these freedoms,
it's easier to work the problem out with somebody who understands your problem than somebody trying to on the outside looking in. Like the white man don't truly understand the struggles of a black man, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I think
only that though, but I mean, like, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What you were saying? Not only that, what?
I was gonna say not only that, but as far as the Caucasian mentality, they have a mentality of conquer by any means necessary, and they held on to it. We had not. You know, if you think about it, and you go back, even back to the European times, well, you could say before current times, back in history, we had the mentality of ruling the world. I mean, not just African Americans, but Genghis Khan even ruled the world back then. He ruled 90% of the known world back then. At some point, we got broke. We just never learned how to heal. Like, we know that they're not smarter than us, but they figured something out. They learned how to break multiple intelligent people. We charted the stars. So how did the lesser become greater?
Teach them to turn the other cheek. That's another conversation.
Oh, we done covered it. Trust me, Kimberly could tell you.
my views may be a bit extreme, so I keep a lot of things to myself because it is very extremely unpopular opinion.
So now that's the card you're gonna play tonight. You're gonna play that card, but we opened that door Sunday. We didn't open that door.
Listen, and I get it, but I really feel like it's not time for that yet. It is not time for that yet. But I'm going to answer this whole education question thing outside of the fact that they were never prepared to educate us. Outside of the fact that they never even wanted to educate us. We have access to enough information, especially at this point in time, so where we can educate ourselves, we can educate our children. And people make the choice to not do that.
Exactly.
They don't want to seek out the information.
But you gotta realize nowadays a lot of kids is having kids. Like these kids ain't even educated themselves because they mama wasn't educated.
And I understand that, Jay, and it's a whole thing. I get that. But at some point, you have to make a decision to want to change your
To change
circumstances. And you can't depend on a system, and you can't depend on other people to do that for you.
Exactly. That's exactly what I said.
It's
Education
lazy.
starts at home. It starts at home. Instead of sending your kids to get instead of sending them to get education, send them already educated.
Let's be honest though. A lot of people don't see school as education. They see it as a daycare to get rid of them kids. They don't care if they kid learn the damn thing. They just tired of that little bit.
But that goes back to what you originally said, though. But what you said is that, you know, I guess for me, my thought is, it always going to go back to the beginning for me, that we were broken. Because before we came here, we educated our children. We taught them how to hunt, to fish, to map the stars, and everything, right? Mm-hmm. We are the beginning. So when we got here, it broke. And even in our original location, the diaspora, it's broken there too. And that's because we allowed the colonizer to come in and not only colonize us physically, but colonize us mentally. So, but as far as, you know, you said kids teaching kids, here's the thing. Where was the breakdown? Because we're not the first people to have kids that were young. You got to remember, in a lot of cultures, even here in the United States, girls were married off young to older men. Their parents, all they have to do is give them permission. So the fact of a kid having a kid is really an irrelevant argument because that's been going on for centuries. That's not anything new. The breakdown is, when did the education stop? Because, and I can only go from my angle, growing up, now, my mother was a housekeeper, so she literally had to clean someone else's toilet to feed us. My daddy was a bus driver. He always worked the extra board, which is overtime, so he was never there because he was too busy trying to get money to keep a roof over our head. But what they did do was, we were the only kids on our block that had the black encyclopedias. We were the only kids on our block that had that. My parents sacrificed because they knew that education was the way out. Not as far as educating to his story, but being educated and knowing how to research information. The number one thing I've always taken from my father that I will always carry for the rest of my life is never believe someone's word. Always research for yourself. So when did we stop that? When did that break?
I can shoot. Let's go.
When they made it a law, you couldn't beat your kids.
I beat you gotta drive. Oh my god.
But where did beating even come from, though? Where did we learn to beat each other?
It worked. No. Yeah.
Who beat us first?
I this is a whole, like, that's a whole thing that has to be unpacked. Like, you talking suitcases upon suitcases upon suitcases that need to be completely unpacked. Because again, one is in relation to the other. But we have gotten so disconnected because of, and like I said the other night,
there you go.
Gotten so disconnected from who we are for so many reasons. In my opinion, religion is one of them, because they came in and put Bibles in one hand and chained us with the other and disconnected us from our spirituality, from who we truly were. So this has been happening for an extensive amount of time. And don't get me wrong, people are getting reconnected. People are getting reconnected with themselves, and that's wonderful. But you still have entire generations of people who are just lost. They are lost, and for so many reasons. And something that I'm dealing with now, and this is something that I hold close to my heart, I'm a prison reform advocate. Hearing some of these stories and where some of these men come from, some of the things that they have experienced, some of these women, some of the places they come from, some of the things that they have experienced. These people have been dealing with trauma since birth. And a lot of issues can be connected to the state of our mental health in our community. because you have so many traumatic experiences that go unaddressed. You have so many mental health issues that go ignored. Even coming up, I can recall people saying certain things. You know, he a little touched, he a little special, he a little this, and it's really something going on, but you don't ever get it treated.
But let me ask you this though.
Yes,
it's a twofold statement.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't know where to seek treatment, how do I know how to seek it? That's number one. Number two, going back to what you said earlier about religion, the thing that people forget is religion is man-made. Religion is not God-made. Religion is man-made. Now, that's a major thing, because if you just go back to the different versions of the Bible, it's an interpretation. It's an interpretation. So I understand what you mean when you say people are discovering, right? They're discovering. But in that same token, there's always been a practitioner of our faiths. There's always been a practitioner of our faiths. So at some point, someone made the decision that it was easier to adapt and assimilate than it was to stick to our origin. Because there's always been a practitioner of our faith.
Now, to answer that, because I have very close relatives who are practitioners of Santeria. And same thing with voodoo. They have had to hide their deities behind acceptable white Catholic saints, which is why you see so many representations of the saints in Santeria. They are, because we had to hide. We had to hide for it to be acceptable. And now, and I'm so glad it's happening, that tide is starting to change finally. Thank God. Because people are starting to see it as it's not the evil, dirty, or you going to hell thing that it was professed to be for so long, that we were taught through our slave masters and so many other means. But to answer the question about not knowing where to get the help for the mental health, I agree with you on that, because you don't know. Because it's not available. And being here in New Orleans, it's not available. It's not. You have to go and ask questions. You have to go and find it. You have to search, hunt it down. You have to look for it. And you have to be on a mission to truly want to get help for yourself or for someone else. It shouldn't be that difficult. It should not be that difficult for a person seeking help. But unfortunately, it is. And it's like going on a scavenger hunt. You got clues dropped over here. 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 And it's ridiculous. And I really wish that there was something more that I could do. But I'm just one person. And I can't get overwhelmed. But I try and share information whenever possible. I do. Because I have a lot of friends who work in social services. So they have information, they have access to things. So if somebody asks me a question about something, I'm making my mission to reach out to people who I'm connected to and say, hey, where can we find this? And I share that information. And I feel like if we did more of that, if we did more asking, but then again, this is another piece of level we have to unpack. There's so much shame in our community in regards to mental health. Okay. There's so much shame attached to it. People don't want to ask. And that's where the problem starts too, because people don't want to ask because of the shame of it all, the embarrassment. But it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. So that's a whole another layer to it. So, but I try and share resources. And I know there are other people who do the same. I know there are other people who do the same thing. So You know, we just have to learn how to rely on each other more. We have to learn how to speak on certain things and not be scared. You know, I am a survivor of sexual abuse, and I had to learn how to not be ashamed of that. It was a process that I did, and it took me many, many years. I was 40 years old before I could freely talk about what had happened to me when I was younger. So, and I know there are so many people suffering in silence, men and women, suffering in silence and things, you know, being traumatized from childhood. But we have to open that up and say, listen, you don't have to be ashamed. You don't have to be embarrassed. You don't have to be scared. And that goes to if you were abused, if you have a mental health issue, that goes for all of it. Everything. We need to learn how to communicate better with each other and reassure each other that, you know, it's okay. And again, I'm happy to see this whole wave of Black men who are starting to take their mental health seriously, who are starting to take their emotional health seriously. And I really hope it grows and blossoms into something and just continues on, because it's refreshing to see. It truly is. So, yeah.
I know an app where they can download and post their thoughts on there called The Block. You know what I'm saying? Look it up.
Go, The Block.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go, The Block. We did, you know,
there you go.
Comments. Even if you want to come and ask for help, come to The Block. We got you.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Start a thread on the block. That was good, Jay. I like that.
That's good, Jay. I like that. Yeah.
I like that,
you go.
All right. All right. That was cool.
There was somebody trying to be careful, bro.
Yes, yes.
Hey, man. Big dog, do your thing. Come on, man. We're running late.
All right. Well, it's been a wonderful show. Wonderful
It sure
conversations.
has.
We got to do this. Like, really got to plan these like serious sit downs out more often so we can really get the crowd moving again. Tasha, you've been a wonderful guest, Latasha. You've been phenomenal, spot on.
Yes.
You know, y'all can catch her show Tuesdays at 7 p.m. under the Who They Want Entertainment brand as well.
All right, all right.
You already know how we do. So, Kyle, we wish you was here, buddy. And Dazzy, we know you was on the move and you couldn't chime in like you
with his
really
hands
wanted
right
to.
now.
Absolutely.
He's somewhere telling somebody else with their hands.
You already know. So we'll see you guys. What's tomorrow? Saturdays?
Saturday. Tuesday.
We're linking up tomorrow. We linking up tomorrow? What's the game plan?
I'll be here.
I gotta see. I might. Tomorrow I had something to do.
Okay.
Well, it depends on what time. I might.
Well, if not, there's always Soul Food Sundays where we come and get some healing and get things off our chest. Y'all already know 7 days a week, all gas breaks. This has been Who They Want Podcast, and we're out, ladies.